Unit 10. Newsworthy.
Track 68.
First of all, thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed for Go Magazine, Alistair.
It's a pleasure.
Well, I know you're pretty busy, so I'll come straight to the first question, which is, why did you decide to become a reporter?
There are several reasons, if I think about it. As a teenager, I was always interested in current affairs. And I remember that as I was growing up, the whole family used to read newspapers. So I started thinking about it as a job when I was quite young.
Okay, and what qualities do you think a reporter needs?
She or he needs to have a great deal of curiosity. You know, it's no good if you're shy. You need to walk right up to people and start asking them things. And as I've often found in quite a few cases, this may annoy or upset them. A reporter also needs to be able to think fast and be able to summarize things quickly and accurately.
Yes, I see. So, what are the easiest and most difficult types of story to write?
No story is easy, but I suppose there are some which reporters find particularly difficult. These are interviews when you have to talk to relatives of someone who has died or been in an accident. This can be very difficult. Although quite a few of the people seem to appreciate the chance to talk to someone from outside the family. Whereas most interviews with famous people are easy to write about, in my experience. I'll never forget having an impromptu interview with my favourite musician, Elvis Costello. I was following him on tour, and he had refused to do any formal interviews. Then, one night, I was on my own in the hotel bar. It was very late, and he came in and sat down with me. We had a chat, and I managed to record our conversation.
That certainly was lucky. Okay, now, what's the most interesting story you've covered?
Well, one of the most memorable for me was a major flood. We had to go to the flooded city with the army because you couldn't get in otherwise. The water was still coming up, and we watched lots of people leaving their homes by boat or walking in water up to their chests. A few lucky ones had rides on helicopters. We got pretty wet that day, and my photographer had to do some swimming. It was terrible for the people in the city, but it was an important story.
It certainly sounds it. And that brings me to my next question. How easy is it to get a story on the front page?
Well, it depends on the size of the paper. Because I work for a big paper, I only have a few front-page articles each year. And so, as you can imagine, every front-page article is a special moment. And the flood story was one of those.
Right. So it's not easy unless you work for a small paper then. So, what do you think are the best and the worst things about the job?
I think the best thing is that for a great deal of the time it can be exciting. You never know, when you walk in the morning, where you will go that day and who you will talk to. The unpredictability is great. Though like any job, there are times when the work is quite routine. The worst thing about the job, and this may explain to some extent the negative image that we reporters seem to have, is that you often have to write fast. It sometimes feels like there is no time to say things exactly the way you want. There is very little time to feel frustrated, though, because you usually need to move on quickly to the next assignment.
That's very interesting. So, would you say that it's a glamorous job?
Most reporters will tell you that they are too busy to think about glamour. Although we see glamorous people reading the news on TV, the real work behind the scenes has been done by lots of hard-working news collectors, and very few of them get their faces on the screen. In fact, my sister's a newsreader, and I know she'd agree with that.
Really? So your family's interest in newspapers had a big influence then?
Well, not on everyone. My brother was never really that interested.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much for your time, Alistair.
You're welcome.